Oh, my goodness me. Hasn't it been a while, little ones? Hello everybody, and welcome, foolish mortals, to a homeless-looking Gemini live stream. What's up, everyone? How are we all doing? Sorry if I'm a little bit blurry. Don't know what's going on with the live. It's a little bit hit and miss at the moment. Weather's fine, so no excuses, really. But how are we all doing? It's great to see a lot of familiar faces as usual. Let me say hi to some of you guys. What's up, Lefty Bear? Already got members in the chat. Also, members, you have a dark 6 emoji now. So if I've got any members in the chat, feel free to throw up some of those dark 6 emojis. What's up, Xerox? Vibe check, man. How you doing? Muttersteak. Hello, Iris Moth. Hello, Faceless Art and Skills. What's up, everyone? I hope you guys can hear me. I think we're okay. I'm just doing like double checks on all of my audio and everything because we're gonna comb through the trailer today, and I've been messing about with the settings on here. Hopefully it all comes through nice and crisp and clean and clear for you guys, and hopefully my voice isn't too loud and obnoxious, and hopefully you're not too offended by the fact that I have a large fiery beard. Just getting the excuses out of the way real quick. My best friend is getting married next week, and he asked me to be the best man, and I of course said yes, I'll do that, but I have to look, you know, in reasonably presentable condition, which means if I shave now, I'm not going to look great in a week's time, and I want to go to the barbers and get it all done. So this is me. This is the me you get, right? Deal with it. But I hope my appearance does not offend. But yeah, how is everybody doing? It's really good to see everyone. I'm sorry it's been a while, but we have some stuff to cover today. Absolutely we do. What's up, Aspen Groves? Hello there. Fantasy Feline, hi. What's up, Mochi? Mochi, I had Mochi, and it was delicious. It was gorgeous. It was like a Biscoff blend one. Oh my god, it was really nice. It was really, really good. And now I fully understand the lust for Mochi. Or the obsession with it, at least. Agape Sorrow, hello. I'm not sure I recognise your name, but hello and welcome to the stream. I hope you have a good time while you're here. What's up, Dr. Nightmare? How are you? Hello, Stinkles. The teacher is a baddie. No. 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 No on every level. No on all the levels. Every single level, all of them. Them levels, yeah. No. Alison! God damn it, woman! Well, straight away, I'm going to have to react to that now. Look what you've done. Look what you've done. You see what you do? Distracting me. Massive W. Let me get some eyeballs in the chat for Alison. Bringing me that, right? I'll tell you what that's going towards. Thank you so much, by the way. I might seem really ungrateful at the moment, but that stumbled me a little bit. But you, right? That is going towards the pay for Gemini's goddamn VR. Because I don't have a VR headset. I don't really want to play. I really want to play so badly. And it's gonna really upset me if I don't get to. I'm really trying to, I'm not actually, by the way, that's not actually a thing. I'm not really gonna spend the money on a VR. I'm hoping beyond hope that one of my friends will be kind enough to lend me their VR so I can play the game. I'm not gonna buy one because they're like, the cheapest ones I've found are like £300, which is like $400 or something like that. And I literally just want to play one game, and that's it. I won't use it again. So I can't justify the price tag on it. Nor could I afford it if I tried. So yeah, I would love to. But Alison, thank you so much. That's a massive help. That is a massive help. And of course, as usual, it will be going to Mama Gem. It will not be going to me, nor my VR headset. But thank you so much. It is massively, massively appreciated. Thank you. Gemini, you look peak. Thank you. I don't feel peak. I feel like I'll look peak when I've actually had a shave and I can't taste my moustache. Because right now, it keeps waking me up. It like keeps tickling the inside of my nose and I keep freaking out thinking there's something climbing up there. Oh, Dr. Nightmare, you got a VR headset. Well, lucky you. How lucky for them. Back home. What's up, Sasha? How you doing? Welcome in. I haven't seen you for a while. Hope you're doing all right. Yeah, Quest 3S was what I was looking at, Nightmare. I think you can play it on a Quest 2, I think. But I really want to play it in the highest possible quality. Don't get me wrong, whatever I can get my greedy little hands on, I will take. Because it's an opportunity to play the game. But if I get an opportunity to play the game at its highest capacity, I'm going to do that. So obviously, you know, the choice between this, I covered it in my very short breakdown video yesterday. That I know Little Nightmares isn't exactly known for its like groundbreaking graphics or anything like that. It's not like Resident Evil, or something like that. It's not Elden Ring, but I've found that most games in VR have to subsidize their quality a little bit in favor of gameplay. Because it's just more complicated and it's a lot more power to cram into a much smaller console. And I related it to like playing a AAA game on a Nintendo console, because they're not necessarily designed for that specifically, at least from a graphic and fidelity standpoint. But I don't know, because like I said, it's been a very, very long time since I played with a VR headset, and they could very well have come a long, long way since I last used one. So for all I know, anything I can get will be absolute peak. I just want to play the game. I don't really care that much. But I know some people will. And some people will actively put comparisons on YouTube so that you can see. Alison, stop! Stop! One is enough. Enough is one. You just stop. I'll ban you. I'll swear down. I'll ban you. What's up, Reanimal Girl? How you doing? Oh, the girl Reanimal. Sorry, I read your name backwards there. Sorry. How are you, Reanimal? You good? Oh, God. Very dear friend of mine bought Reanimal for me, and I am going to chew that up real soon. I've got a theory for you guys. I got something you might like. Granted, I'm extremely late to the game, but I think you guys are going to enjoy it. Anyway, we are not here to listen to my face gas bag about the poor quality of my beard. We are here to break down the trailer for Little Nightmares VR Altered Echoes, which was announced at Gamescom, silly me, Future Games Show. God, I'm out of practice. Future Games Show announced this, it was about a week ago now, could even be 2, because I'm really late to the game, because I haven't been able to get to my office and do stuff, because I've had real life stuff to deal with, and that sucks. But, Alison, I swear on my mother, right, I'll tell her she'll... Now look, you've made the police, there's sirens and everything, I can see blue lights. Look what you've done. Your fault. Your fault. Oh, I do like your little doggo though. Hiya. Yay. But seriously, stop. That is enough. Yes, playing as Dark 6 is going to be peak. I am absolutely thrilled. I'm obsessed with Dark 6. I love Dark 6. I have Dark 6, as you can see on my shelf up there. I made that. That's how obsessed I am with that character. I love Dark 6. I've always wanted to know more ever since the first game. Ever since I caught her in my peripheral vision, and I was like, and I panned the camera over just slightly to the right, and I seen her, and I'm like, ooh, the lore implications. There is lore here, and it goes deep, and it's only now, over 8 years later, we finally get an expansion on it, so it'll be really, really cool to see, and I'm excited to hear what you guys have to say about it as well. But first, we should actually watch it, shouldn't we? So let me just bring it up on my screen right here, because I brought up the trailer. I'm hoping that it's not too loud. I am just going to run a real quick sound check. Let me just make sure I've got you guys on screen. Right, I have you guys on screen. Oh, Shattered Low and Alone, I'm sorry I didn't recognise you. You changed your name, but hello and welcome back. Hey, well, I'm glad you can make it to the stream. Hide the body. Okay, I'm just going to move chat outside of here momentarily while I jigger my setup around. So I don't need scene 1 anymore. I can turn this off. Right, forgive me, it's going to go dark for just a second. But I'm going to kill these. Change to scene 1. I'm going to open this. This should give my face. Yay! Small gem! Alright, And display should capture this. Right, yeah, excellent. Okay, quick sound check. I'm just going to let it play for 5 or 10 seconds. Let me know if this is too loud. Because I can't hear it because it's going to play out of my headphones, which I am not wearing currently. Also, I need to shrink chat a little bit more because I can't see what's going on. There you go. The game releases 4 days before the anniversary of the first game. How fitting. How fitting indeed. Right, what's the sound like, guys? Let me know.
Peggy 12.
How does this sound for you guys? Is this too loud or is it too quiet? Let me know. I'm looking at chat, but I can't actually hear the trailer. I have to go since I'm watching 8-Bit Riot. Hey, no problem. That's absolutely fine. I appreciate you stopping in, Nightmare. Gemini, did you see my question in chat? I did not, Vibe Check Man. I'm sorry. But feel free to retype it. I will read it for you. Thank you, Aspen Groves. I appreciate that, letting me know about the sound. Now, I'm just going to let this play out. I am going to, like, don't get me wrong, we're going to stop and start and stop and start, and I'm going to comb through this because there's so much in this that I've spotted already, but I really want to go through it with you guys, and then I'm probably going to make, like, a full-blown theory video about what I expect this game, you know, the direction this game is going to take. This is kind of unrelated to the stream, but I have two really important questions down the floor. Mention if you'll be okay with answering them. Yeah, by all means, Vibe Jack Man, fire away, my brother. It's quite interesting that it's only rated 12 instead of the usual 16. Hey, yeah, I didn't pick up on that. That is curious indeed. Maybe there are... maybe it's because we don't actually get to see the character, like, being consumed in this one. So, like, at least in the old game, like in Little Nightmares 1, you actually get to see 6, you know, get picked up and eaten. Whereas in this one, I suppose we'll kind of be like Vaughn. but if we do die in this one, I don't think it'll be quite as graphic as the other ones were. Even though the other ones weren't particularly graphic, let's be honest, they were very reserved. You know, not a lot of blood and guts. It was completely unnecessary. They didn't need blood and guts, right? The implication was heavy enough. But yeah. What if JT Music made a song? If JT Music make a song for it when it comes out, I will literally learn every lyric. I'll learn every word, because that's exactly what I did with the other ones. I'm obsessed with them. I think they're great. I hope that JT Music make a song about it, and I hope that Dan Bull and the Stupendium also make a song about it. I'm not sure if they will, because I don't think Dan Bull or Stupendium made a song on Little Nightmares 3 at all, which was curious and disappointing, but it is what it is. They've got their own things going on, and like much bigger projects, I'm sure. But the one that JT Music made, Obstreperous, that has quickly become one of my favourite songs. In fact, theirs are my favourites among all of them. I absolutely love those raps. They are quality. They're actually where the name Geminem comes from. You guys will see people in chat calling me Geminem, and it's because one day I just randomly, arbitrarily rapped a little bit of the JT one, and it was like, they were like, oh my god! I'd never heard it before. But yeah, it was dope. So I really do hope that you're right, and that JT Music do make one on this. Let's see. Is the community expansion still being worked on? I haven't really seen it. Yes, Vibe Check Man, it absolutely is. I've unfortunately had a bunch of other stuff to deal with. I've had weddings and funerals and work-related projects and stuff like that to deal with, which has really annoyed me because it means that the last 2 live streams I've planned have had to be cancelled. Fortunately, I didn't advertise them to you guys, but obviously those of you who were in the previous streams who have... put forward your characters and pitched them and everything and contributed to this expansion, you guys have been kept waiting, and I apologise for that, but the next live stream I do is going to be committing to that expansion. So we have a character now, and we have a location pinned down. Kit Kat Katsy is the artist working on the project, and she's going to be making some phenomenal artwork for you guys to check out that I'm thrilled to share. I can't wait to show it off. It's also available to look at in her Discord as well. But there is more work to be done on that project, and it is still up and coming, and you will be getting to see more of it. Hopefully in the next couple of weeks. It won't be next week because I'm at a wedding, but the following week So like the second week of April, we'll be doing another live stream where we are going to expand furthermore on that expansion. It might even be the last one we do before we make the first episode. So yeah, thank you for bringing that up, because that is something I meant to address today. Let me just... Oh, sorry, I'm going to have to scroll up chat just a touch. Gemini, did you see the reveal the title of the stop motion project? Yes, I did, Stinkles. I actually did. I can't remember what it is. Remind me what it is. I can't remember what it is. I did see. So you're not... Don't worry, it's not a spoiler. Put it in chat. But they did, absolutely, and I can't remember what it... What? Oh, my days, why can't I remember the name of it? That's really irritating me now. God, my mind is scrambled, as you guys could probably tell. Yes, playing a Shadow 6 is extremely interesting. Also, sorry if I keep leaning off camera. I can't actually see my face on the other monitor over there. Is there a maximum length limit on the OC submissions? I've been working on my submission ever since the stream in January, but I realised that submitting an extremely detailed and thought out OC that not only has ties to important figures like the Ferryman and the North Wind, but also has a fully thought out and unique power system, which would take a lot more words to explain than a normal OC submission usually would. And sending all of that to a streamer who probably already has hundreds, continued DMs. Stop jumping, chat. Sifri wouldn't be the most thoughtful thing to do. I've been taking measures to make the messages. And yes, now I get the vibe. I understand. Would you actually be willing to sit down and read all of that? Yes. Yes. So, Vibe Check Man, I would absolutely be prepared to. All I'll say is, please be understanding of the fact that I do get a whole bunch of messages, and a lot of them do go into a lot of detail, because a lot of the people that message me are theorists, and you guys like to substantiate your theories by providing evidence, and in order to do so, you have to send me a lengthy message. I am fine with that, because I'm a long messenger myself. If I take the time to message you back, I'll read everything. Like, I will read every word and I'll digest it as best I can. I really appreciate you being thoughtful enough to try and break it down so that it is easier digestible. And I would prefer if you do that just so that I can answer, because when I see huge blocks of text, I know that it's going to take me a long time to reply, and the longer it takes me to respond to one person, the longer the next person has to wait. But yes, I will absolutely be prepared to read it. I'll absolutely take everything you say into account, and if we use your character concept, I'll absolutely address everything you have to say. But yeah, it would be wise for you to break it down into more digestible portions. Even if you don't do that necessarily for me, I would ask that you do that for when I present the character on stream, so that I'm not doing like a 40-minute segment on your character and then everyone else's gets like the 10 seconds of name, age, gender. Okay. So bear that in mind. But yeah, absolutely, if you send me the whole shebang, I will read and digest and reply to the whole shebang, for sure. Okay, let me see. Okay, let me see where I'm at. I honestly think it's basically either Six's head or Shadow 6 reliving her memories. Yeah, it could be, right? These so now that's what's curious, and I'm hoping that when we come through some of this, we're going to be able to locate a couple of the links. Something I did notice, and I brought up in my last video, was there's a train section that we didn't really visit as any character, apart from, like, Mono was on a train briefly, running away from Thin Man, but the only other character we see around that train is Dark Six. We see her on the tracks. She actually leads Mono to the signal tower, and she's just kind of like walking along the train tracks and balancing and sitting around and stuff. But she's there, right? She's there right before the Thin Man boss fight. Mono actually sees Dark Six there, so I'm wondering if that'll tie in any way, or if what Dark Six is experiencing on the train and with this new photographer enemy, are these memories that we didn't get to see from Six in an area like the Nest, or a different journey through the Pale City, or something after the Maw. What are we getting? We're still not sure. But hopefully this trailer is going to break down a lot of that for us. It's going to be cool. Hungry for another one. Yes, yes, hungry for another one. Brilliant song. Alex Smallwood, I wonder if this giant music box is meant to represent Six's mind. Potentially, yeah. Also, I recognise that this giant music box is very much the same, but it looks different, right? It looks more bell-shaped than the music box we're used to. But the symbols on it are the same. Like, even right down to the writing and the handle and everything like that. So I don't know if this is just like a warped version of the same music box, if it's a representation of it, or if it's like, I don't know, like a dark sister version of the music box. Like, is there more than one? And what does it represent within the world? I suppose we'll find out. Broken Promises, that's the one. Broken Promises. Thank you, you guys that have actually been paying attention. Broken Promises. That's the name of the new stop motion project that was announced recently, which I am also absolutely stoked about. Before you deep dive, I wrote a YouTube post about how adults become residents. I'd be interested in your thoughts if you get the chance to read it. Let me just have a look. This one. How adults cross into nowhere and the toll they pay. Give me 1 second, let me catch up with chat. Because I do want to read this and I'd be happy to, but I also don't want to get too far distracted, because I've got a lot of people to chat to and I don't want anyone to feel ignored. Hey, what's up, Nevada? How you doing? What's up, Kip? I'm glad you can make it. Been checking out a few of your posts as well recently. What did you think of the redesigns of the law for Liam and Dev? Yeah, absolutely awesome. Like, you know that Glitchy Lev is absolutely my favourite one of your characters. That freaky image that you sent me where she's not wearing the hat, I actually really like Glitchy Lev without the hat. Is that strange? Like, I know it's kind of like a point of her design, but I really, really like her without the hat. There's just something sinister. I quite like the idea of an image where she's looking for the hat. In fact, that image that you sent me where she's crawling and she doesn't have the hat, I imagine that she's like reaching under a bed trying to retrieve her hat. My dad just bought me a Little Nightmares t-shirt. Nice! Lucky. No worries, Iris Moth. I appreciate you stopping in. Right, let me read Mochi Kitty's post right here about how adults cross into the nowhere and the toll they pay. And then you guys can share your opinions, and then we'll get back into breaking up the trailer. The world of Little Nightmares has always been one that leaves the observer with more questions than answers. One of those unanswered questions being, where do the residents come from? Though we've been given clues through other media, such as the Sounds of Nightmares podcast, the answer has always been ambiguous. This post aims to provide, forgive my reading, by the way, I haven't read anything in a while. This theory will use Descent to Nowhere comics as the main evidence, namely the Right. I'm only stopping it here, Mochi, please forgive me, but I didn't realise. But I haven't got the last one yet. I've only got up to the third one because the Forbidden Planet, where I ordered my comics from, were unable to process my order, and I still haven't received or read issue 4. And I really want to read it before I get into spoilers. I really hope that's okay, and I'm so sorry that I've just teased and said, yeah, I'm going to read this post, and then decided not to. But it's only because I feel like you might, if it doesn't contain spoilers and I've just jumped, let me know and I'll jump back. But I don't know how it ends, and I really want to read it from the source beforehand. I hope that's okay. If it's alright with you, in fact, once I've got that, let me come back to this post. I'm just gonna favourite that real quick. Pop. I'm just gonna bookmark that. There we go. So that can go into my read for later file, because I really want to read it, and I am very interested to what you have to say, and I would like to share it with the community, but I also want to digest it through the actual medium first, and they screwed up my order. It's not your fault. It's not even their fault, really. I don't know what happened. They sent me an email about a week ago saying, we need you to do something with your order, and I'm like, what? I thought I ordered them all. It turns out I did, but they've had to change something about the postage. Like, they weren't able to get me one. So I'm really mad, but either way. But yeah, I'm sorry about that. Anyways. I know, it's all good. I won't spoil anything about what I'm sad after reading. No worries, Stinkles. No worries. I'm sure I will be as well. But we're all getting used to being sad at the end of Little Nightmares stuff. That's what Little Nightmares does. And has anybody actually been happy at the end of a Little Nightmares game? Because I don't think I have. Like I've been thrilled and excited, but I don't think I've ever been happy because it breaks your heart on purpose. What's up, Justin Artbat? How are you? That was almost bad. I know, yeah, I nearly screwed up there, didn't I? Right, let me go back here and we're going to start breaking stuff down because there are some things
Peggy
here
12.
that I said that we're going to comb through and I don't have a massive amount of time. Right, so we open with the music box. Now, as you can see, this music box is very much the same as the large bell-shaped one that we looked at the end, and this appears to be the room that we find Monster 6 in, or at least it's a close facsimile to it. You know, you've got the toys, you've got the suitcase, you've got the music box. It does appear to be in the signal tower, or at least somewhere related to it. This could even be Six's real life bedroom, or like a blend of it, like a messed up memory of it. Hey, no worries, Faceless. I appreciate you stopping in. Thank you so much. Have a good night. We're getting GTA 6 before we get a good Little Nightmares ended. Yep, fact. Right, then we go here, right? As soon as I seen this, the game was sold. Right? Look, something I noticed about this is, so the teacher has obviously scribbled a bunch of new stuff on the board. There's a whole bunch of eyeballs up there. This is a different class that she's teaching at the moment. But look at the bullies. Every single one of them has their head on the desk, it appears. They all look damaged and slumped. Classroom actually looks bigger too, so this could be a different classroom. It likely is a different classroom to the one that we've experienced already. I have absolutely massive hopes for this game after seeing this, because you guys who've seen my original playthrough and anybody that's known me for long enough knows that the teacher is my favourite bad guy of any game of all time. She does something to me that makes my insides turn outside. She's awful in all the best ways. So to know that I have to get even closer to this thing in an environment that I'm not used to, it sends chills up my spine. And we're going to have to get real deep into this because obviously with it being VR, we have to actually go in and pick stuff up with our hands. So we're going to have to get real close to the bullies. We're going to have to get real close to the teacher. Like even closer than last time. I'm so excited for it. I'm scared. But I can't wait. I cannot wait. Oh, look, it's our favourite teacher. Yeah, right? Calling it right now. We're going to have to survive scary humanoid fleshy versions of the four main kids. Ray Got Girl being invisible enemy in a visible form will look like a drowned. Oh, God, that's awful. What's up, brother Tibbs? How you doing? Welcome to the chat. It's great to see you, man. Hope you're doing okay. And you did look like a snack in the suit. Don't eyeball me. You know what you did. Delicious, man. The teacher is my favourite boss in Little Nightmares because I can relate to having a teacher like her. Yes, likewise. I did as well. And it was, the weird thing is, it's not even just the attitude of this teacher. She looks like the one I used to have because I'm super old, as is evident by my facial hair. This teacher dressed like the teacher I had. She wears her hair the same as the teacher I had. She beats up the students just like the teacher I had. Like, she's just cruel and mean and insidious in so many ways. And I think that's why she has such a heavy impact on a lot of people. She's just so well done. She is a brilliant, brilliant, massively unnerving character. Huge, huge props. Bye. I don't know if that was late or not, but whatever. Mono will be like those edgy teenager monos we see in the fanfics. You always look old, Jem. Thanks, Justin Outbat. You always know just what to say. You always know how to make me feel way better. But you're not wrong. Super excited to get back into the school. There you go. I can't be that old. I'm going back to school in a couple of weeks. This as well. So this area in particular was quite curious because this stack here looks like the library. So this could be like a section of the school that we didn't get to see, but it also reminds me of some of the concept art that they used for the Doctor originally. Those of you guys that have the Little Nightmares 2 art book might recognize this. There was an image of the Doctor climbing down a stack of just bookshelves and debris and beds and all sorts of other junk. And it's, you know, it's stacked up all the way to the ceiling and the Doctor's climbing down it. That's kind of like what this looks like to me. And I know that this isn't the first chaotic stack of random bull that we've seen in the Little Nightmares universe. But this one definitely looks the most backrooms to me. Like, we've got everything clipping into each other, all the bits like overlapping and everything, so it's a bit twisted and warped and weird. And I don't know if that's just down to the graphics of the VR or if it's designed to be warped and distorted this way for a reason. But yeah, that was the only likeness I could draw to this area, and I feel like it might be a part of the school library that we didn't get to explore. So I am very keen to get into that. Hey Gemini, can you say no? Absolutely not. I refuse. I'm not going to do it and you can't make me. It's not funny and I'm not a child. I'm a grown man and I'm really old, apparently, according to Artbat. Speaking of the Doctor, the conductor on the train climbs on the ceiling too. Yes, indeed. Also, I noticed something else. The conductor seems to be a little bit stretchy. Seems to have kind of a stretchy neck. It's kind of like a blend between the Doctor and the teacher. So I'm very interested to see what that character brings. Yeah, definitely seems to have more freedom than the Doctor too. SpongeBob gets stabbed and left for dead on the streets of LA. Well, great. Well, cool story, bro. I'm glad to... right, train station. So here we have a new area, and this is interesting because we get to see more usage of language. And I've noticed a couple of different bits of language, like nowhere speak, and some of these characters are different as well. So it could be that they're expanding that. I'm hoping that we actually get to make sense of some of this too, because there is a lot of this text here, and I've been trying for a really long time to try and decipher at least some of it to see if there's any like hidden meaning. But this looks like a train timetable. And this is interesting because it means that we're going to have to wait at the train station, and I believe that them tall figures that we saw, I think they're waiting for a train too. Although I don't know where their train might be going. But I'd be interested to hear what you guys think. Yeah, I really like this place. It's really cool. It's got sort of like a factory sort of vibe to it. And here we have the train. And you guys will notice that there are guests on this train, like actual guests from the actual mall. And these are, you know, they are the reused assets from Little Nightmares 1. They're the same guests that we see going there. So maybe this is like an intermittent transport between the ship to the mall and the Pale City. Because we do see in the very early comics that Six is in an area that looks like the Pale City, with a raincoat on, strangely enough. And I know that there's some like argument to be had about whether or not the original 2017 comics are canon or not. But the original time where we see Six meet the ferryman, she's in the middle of the Pale City, and she's surrounded by guests. These guests that you see marching through the city. And they all sort of stop to look at her as if to point, you know, like give it the old what's that movie called? Like Invasion of the Body Snatchers kind of thing, where they all look at her, like when they spot one that's not one of their own. Creepy ass scream. But yeah, so we see them doing that, and these other characters that we see, these guests might be those guests. They could even be the same guests we see on the mall. This could be how they get there, or at least how they get to the ship that takes them there. The dark room. Now this, for those of you guys that don't know, is a dark room, and I don't know if they use these necessarily anymore. They're quite an old thing. Um, so I don't think they necessarily use them outside of like forensic labs and things like that. But they are used for developing film. So when you would take a picture on a Polaroid camera, you would take them into a dark room with a lot of red light, and you would develop photographs like that. Which is why we can see a couple of photographs hanging. Well, we can see one photograph hanging up here because after putting them in the solution down here and having them under the red light, you'd put them up to dry. Like they'd have to dry and air out so that you could actually make out the image on them. Otherwise, it wouldn't show. Um, so this again, it might say something to the time frame. You know, like when Six was born, because I'm convinced that the children in the Norway, the visitors, come from different times, right? I think that even though they all converge in one place, I think time stops working once you get to the nowhere. So some of the kids will be hundreds of years older or younger than others. So like Mim from the Lonely Ones novel, I think she is hundreds of years old. You know, I think she comes from like ancient Greece or a time like that, like way before we had any kind of modern technology, like way before electricity. But obviously, children like Mono and Six are a lot more privy to it. They know what all of the levers do. You know, they know if they push a button, the TV comes on. He knows how to use a remote. They're from obviously more modern times. Which is another reason why I think that the nowhere itself is given form by the memories of those who are pulled into it. And the dark room is an interesting one. You guys will know probably about a game called Obusite. Obusite is a Little Nightmares fan game that I played probably 4 or 5 years ago, something like that. It was really good. It was very much on point. You know, it controlled very much the same. The dimensions were the same, and it had a large, creepy old man who was a photographer. And if he caught you in if he caught you in the flash of his camera, you die. Like I think you just disappear and evanesce into the ether, which is awesome, and it's really really cool. And I loved that concept, and it was dope. And the word obusite is a French word meaning shell shock. Shell shock is a condition that veterans of war would get. Something like it's a type of PTSD, like a trauma that you get from having explosions and gunfire going off all over the place. And if you guys have played Obusite, you'd understand why that's a factor in the game. You should play it for yourselves. It was really good, but that's the only time I've seen this concept explored, and I don't know if Little Nightmares is like paying homage to that, or if they're literally just, you know, if they have no idea this game exists and they've just gone their own way with it. I don't know. I'm sure they do know about the game, and it could very well be a respectful homage to that game, but I don't know. Let me just see. Well, Living Hands didn't appear very much, and they're kind of annoying. Sorry, guys, I probably missed a whole bunch of shit. Yeah, Obusite. Yeah. There's a lot of different pronunciations online, like or like opposite and obusite and stuff like that. But the actual pronunciation is obusite. It's French. Not that I know anything about linguistics or anything. Like all of my languages are very very poor. Greece, is that where you're from? Kalispera. Is it Kalispera or Kalimera? I don't know if it's morning or night in Greece at the moment. I think you guys are like 5 hours, like here or there. But Kalimera or Kalispera, which is good morning or good afternoon. And forgive my pronunciation again. My language is not my strong suit. My most funny memory is when I was. Sorry, chat keeps moving when I'm in the middle of reading. That's why I stumble. My most funny memory is when I was at 7-Eleven. My friend had to fill his backpack and run out the door. It was funny. This happened 7 years ago. I hope you weren't stealing anything from 7-Eleven. How I haven't never heard of this. Wasn't that Red Room from the fan made game? Yeah, see that was that's what I'm referencing, Ellen. Where can I play this? I don't remember. I downloaded it a while ago. I think I may have left a link in the description in my own video. But also, yeah, if you just Google the word obusite, I'll write it in chat. Obusite. But if you just Google that, you can probably download the game anywhere for yourselves. I'm pretty sure it was free. I can't remember. I don't even know if it's still available, but it was good. I really enjoyed it. It was really cool. All right, and then we have the TV wall. Now, this is interesting too because it shows that perhaps they are going to explore, as Little Nightmares often do, are going to explore some of the dismissed concepts in the art book. In the art book, we do see like walls of televisions like this. That were some like early concepts for the inside of the signal tower, and maybe these are getting to be reused now. Maybe they're being reimagined as a way for the Thin Man to traverse it. Maybe after Mono becomes the Thin Man and he spends so long in there, maybe he uses the television as a means to manipulate his way from room to room. I don't know, but it definitely looks like the Thin Man is using the TVs within this area, especially considering we see him reach out with them a couple of times throughout this film. Oop. And there was our girl. Go back. There you go. Wait, that's not our girl. They look like the Thin Man's hands. Never mind, away you go. This part was really interesting, and Jord brought this up first, not me. It's just Jord mentioned this. I watched Jord cover this trailer when it first came out, and Jord mentioned that this could be the opening scene. Okay, as soon as you fire up the game, you open the game up, and this is what we're presented with, and it gives you a tutorial. Right, this is Jord's speculation, and I 100% agree with him. I feel like this will be the opening scene, and it says, look, here you are, your Dark Six, here's your hands, you can interact with the environment, do so. And it gives you an opportunity to draw. That's why you got 2 sheets of paper and a crayon, one of which has been drawn on, the other which is blank. So I'm going to assume that we can, walk our way over there and draw on the paper to show, basically as a small tutorial on how you navigate, how you can utilize the environment and pick things up. Because I'm assuming you can pick up most objects. You're going to be able to interact with a whole bunch of stuff. And the fact that we can scribble as well is even cooler, because it means that we might even be able to tie in some of the pictures and the scribbles that we find around the nowhere to this game. Like if some of the scribbles and some of the gnome drawings that we see, maybe we'll get to see that Dark Six actually is responsible for 1 or 2 of those. Maybe she was trying to send a message through these pictures. Maybe that's how it's done. And I'm hoping that's the case. I'm hoping to tie it in like that one way or another. But I don't know for certain. But George speculated that this was going to be the intro to the game, and that's how they're going to give you a minor tutorial. And I completely agree with him, 100%. I think that would be really cool. I want to play Little Nightmares VR game, but I don't have a VR. Yeah, neither do I, Nevada. I'm really sad about it. I'm trying to borrow one off some of my friends that have these VR headsets. Unfortunately, I don't have a lot of friends. I don't have a lot of friends who have VR headsets, and even less of them that would be prepared to like lend me one. So it's like I'm kind of stuffed. But we'll see what happens. I've still got a little while before the game comes out, so I might be able to negotiate a plan with somebody. Failing that, I'm just going to watch Jord play because he does have a VR headset. I actually read a post earlier where he's going to be sitting down to play it, I reckon, so that he doesn't just like take out his entire office. I love Little Nightmares 3, so did I. I will argue that it wasn't the strongest one in the franchise. I feel like this might even be better. I don't know. But I really enjoyed the game myself personally. And I don't like getting into the logistics of everyone, fighting about it and stuff. I just don't engage with the negativity because I feel like everyone is entitled to like the game if they want to. I personally really enjoyed it. If you didn't, that's also your prerogative. You are absolutely allowed to not enjoy the game. And you can crap on the game all you want if you didn't enjoy it. But it's no reason to tear down someone else. Like, you shouldn't be trying to make someone feel bad for enjoying it. It's like, you like Little Nightmares? Well, you're stupid, Because why? Just let people enjoy what they want to enjoy, right? Some people go like out of their way to gatekeep and be really hurtful, and it's like, bro, you know, we're just trying to enjoy the game and just trying to enjoy this franchise as a whole. Like, you know, I think everyone, like the majority of people, would be readily admit that Little Nightmares 3 had its weaknesses and that it didn't hold up as well as, say, Little Nightmares 2 did. Little Nightmares 2, for me, is still the strongest game in the franchise. But it doesn't mean that anyone that says, you know, oh, I love Reanimal, well, you're an idiot. No, you're not. Reanimal's dope. And I haven't even played the full game yet. So, you know, but even if I had, even if I played Reanimal and I hate it, I don't like Roblox. I don't like Roblox. It irritates me, right? I'm sick of hearing about Roblox. But if somebody likes Roblox, my nephew likes Roblox. He loves Roblox. That's all he ever asked for his birthday. I want Robux. I begrudge that so much, right? I hate sending him Robux because I know he just gives it away or people steal it from him. And then he gets upset and he cries because he gets bullied by grown-ass men who are like 35 talking to children on Roblox. I don't like Roblox. But I wouldn't come down on anyone and make them feel bad for enjoying it. You know, I'm not going to pick up my nephew. What are you doing, you idiot moron? You can't play Roblox. Dickhead. Oh, that's going in the out of context video, isn't it? Who wants to bet we'll see 6 eat the gnome in first person? Mochi, I am going to say that there is a reference to this, and I'll show you it in a minute. But there is a reference to that scene, and we might actually do it. We might even look down on the scene and get to witness it from a whole other perspective. What's up, Rexa? How are you doing? Again, are they keeping Monster 6's role a surprise? We heard her screech in the teaser trailer, so I figured she would at least make a split second a bit. Yeah, absolutely. And I noticed that we don't really get to see her in anything other than the initial reveal trailer from way back when. She's not even in this one. At least not to my knowledge. If you guys know that she is and you've spotted her, let me know. Or tell me to pause at a certain point. But yeah, I think if Monster 6 does play a role in this, and I'm certain she does, they're probably going to be keeping that from us for at least a little bit longer. Just walked into Gem hypothetically slapping his nephew. What did I miss? just my rage at some like really unsavory activity that goes on the internet these days. Yeah, you're right, Gemini. Never played it. Yeah, exactly. But again, it's each to their own, and I would never disparage anyone from enjoying something that they want to enjoy. If it doesn't hurt anybody and you're not cramming it down someone's throat, more power to you. You do you. Okay, just live and let live. Enjoy life and let other people enjoy life. You know, I hate it when the only thing people seem to enjoy is making everyone else miserable. Makes the internet a really difficult place to be. Iconic. There's that. There, look at this. Who recognises this kid? Who knows who that is? Can anybody tell me? Pop quiz. Because I know who that is. Or at least I have an idea who that is. You guys have most likely read the Little Nightmares 2 electronic comics. And in episode 6? Or episode 1? Episode 6. I think it's episode 6. Forgive me, I'll have to do research on that. I haven't read them for a long time. But there's a scene with Mono in the in like an orphanage, or what appears to be an orphanage, something where there's a group of boys and they all look very similar. You know, they're all wearing the same attire, and they look like this kid. And I made an entire DLC video surrounding this kid in very early speculations that this could be Low's origin story. And I expanded on that in great detail, and it was a lot of fun, and I really like doing that. Bear in mind, I created that before Little Nightmares 3 existed, and I've since had to sort of rethink a couple of ideas, but I'm very, very proud of it. But this kid looks to have been hard done by the light fixture on the roof there. But this is definitely one of those kids. And I might have a sneaky suspicion that we might get to see some of the comic book kids in this game. I think we might get to see more of them. I hope we do anyway. We at least get to see this character model used. Something else to bear in mind is that this kid, that one right there, that kid's model was redesigned. It was reused. It's a reused asset. Do you know where? Because he has a character model in the game. You can see it right there. It's the same one they used. But they used it as a glitching remain. I noticed when we were in the hospital, right? When you go to the hospital and you notice the kid looking up at the rafters, and there's several of these, like they're all very much the same. But if you go to this one particular one where he's looking up at the fencing, you can see very clearly that it's the glitching remain of that kid. What's the link here? Huh? What do we think this represents? Because this kid is in the same area as Dark Six. Okay? I think that this area could show their consciousness, right? I think the signal tower does exactly what I said it did in a previous video of mine. I think that I might have been correct on a theory about the signal tower itself stealing your consciousness, or at least the nowhere itself trapping your consciousness and keeping it sealed away. And the more of yourself you lose to the nowhere, the more distant you become, until eventually you end up like Dark Six, or like this kid did. Maybe Spoon Girl. We might get to see Spoon Girl. Yep, same light from the Maw, but purple. Is it the kid from the comic? Yes, absolutely. It is not Nosebleed Girl, but we might get to see Nosebleed Girl. I think we'll get to see Nosebleed Girl. I think we'll get to see this kid. We might get to see Ghost Kid. And I think we will get to see Six. I think we'll get to see Six in one of these rooms. I think her consciousness will be in there, but out of reach. You know, we might find her like hunched over, just rocking back and forth. Or something, you know, maybe she's sitting like playing with a music box or something like that. But she'll be isolated and we won't be able to get to her or communicate with her. And that'll be a link, you know, like a direct, a direct subliminal message to say, you know, your subconscious mind is trapped here. And I think that's what happens to her when she becomes Monster 6. Is that her actual mind, like her real subconscious, is locked somewhere within these halls, trapped somewhere. Maybe some tie to the music box. I'm not sure. So is it Raincoat Girl? No, not one glitching remain. I'm pretty sure it's all of the. Yes, you might be right, Stinkles. It might be all of the glitching remains. But I was only able to get real close to one of them before it disappeared. I'll have to look up screenshots. I don't know if they used more than one kid for the glitching remains, but you might be right. It could very well be all of the glitching remains are these kids. I don't remember if one of them was Ghost Kid. I'm not sure, or at least I think maybe Ghost Kid might have been like an early concept. I think they were going to reuse Ghost Kid's initial concept as glitching remains and then changed it or removed it. I don't know, but I've seen two versions, because the thing is, Ghost Kid does have a character model in the game. I think he's Child 2. I think he's known as, or is it Child 1? I don't know, but he has an existing character model. But there's two of them. There's there's the regular Ghost Kid model, and then there's a glitching one, like one that sort of waves like it's like caught in TV static. So that could have been that they were planning on using it as a glitching remain, but then decided to use this mystery kid instead. See you soon, Stinkles. Okay, let's go. Yeah, and there we go. So now we've got more of these guys, so we can see the guests. We've talked about this bit. We touched on this already. This symbol comes up a lot. This one right here. I think this might just be for the... it's either for the train service itself. In fact, I think it is, because I'm pretty sure I saw this symbol. I'm sorry if you guys can't really see it on my screen, because I know the compression is really bad. I've got it in 4K on a big old screen in front of me. You guys are probably getting the really compressed live stream version, so I apologise for that. But there is this eye symbol that looks like it's... it kind of looks like the front of a train. And we see this symbol now and again. But one of the most prevalent places we actually get to see it is on the model train that Dark Six that we get to see in this trailer. I'll show you it in a minute. This also might be the Maw, but I only say that because of the wallpaper, because it's hard to make out, but this wallpaper looks a bit like the wallpaper you get in the Maw. Potentially. I'm not sure though, but I also have reason to believe that the nest will feature at least in some way in this, and I'll show you why shortly, because all of this is going to come up as we discuss. But let's see. Okay, sorry, Gemini, notice my comments. Where are your comments? I saw you say Spoon Girl. Well, that was the last thing I saw you say. The one before that. I'm still scrolling. Also, I'm just going to bring this on screen here because some of you guys, I know I say this in every single stream, but sometimes your chat doesn't come through. So you guys can see the messages and I can't, right? This chat here, this is what I can see. This is my chat. I see these messages right here. Okay, so you've said, Gemini noticed my comments, and then the next one that you've said is Spoon Girl, which I addressed a minute ago, and I might have been late to it, and I apologise for that, but it's because I keep getting distracted. But also, if I keep scrolling, see, there isn't another comment from you for a long time, not since I was talking about Obusite earlier on. So I don't know if YouTube, for some reason, is filtering out some of your comments. The only reason I haven't got you guys on here on the screen. I'll see you later, Reanimal. Thank you. Thank you for popping in. The reason I don't have you guys on screen so you guys can see that is because obviously I'm trying to do justice. I'm trying to show you things here, so obviously I can't see behind the chat. I'm like, oh, look at that gnome. You're like, what gnome? Because I've put the chat in the way. That's why I've got you guys off to one side. But if for any reason I don't read your comments, or you think I'm ignoring you, or I'm not addressing it, it's because I can't see them. I don't know why. I don't have any restrictions on my chat at all. None. Zero. Zilch. I don't bother restraining my chat because I trust my audience, and you guys are always really cool. So I've never had a reason to mess with the chat. So if for some reason your comments aren't showing up, I'm really sorry. See, I don't even know if you guys are retracting these comments or not. I don't know if you guys are intentionally doing that, or if this is YouTube retracting your comments for some reason. I don't know. But it's not me. I'm not removing these comments. I have no reason to. There's nothing wrong with anything you guys are saying. But yeah, please forgive me if I seem really ignorant to some of you, and I only know this happens because I rewatch my live streams. I go back through them, usually because I'll do like a giveaway or something like that. You know, we'd go through the giveaway, and then me and my friends will go through this team. We'll go through, me and my team will go through all of the chat, and I'll read all of the messages, and then we'll put all the names into a hat so that we can do a reliable draw for the prize giveaway. So I reread all of my chat messages, and I see a bunch of them, and I'm like, why didn't I talk to this person? Why didn't I address this particular comment? You know, why didn't I read it when Aspen Grove said, I gotta go feed my sheep? You know, like, why didn't I read that? And it's because it didn't show up on my screen. But for you guys, it did. You know, on your screen, it probably shows all of your messages, but on my screen, it doesn't. So anyway, that's my excuse, and I put it there so that you guys can see it. I am going to move chat onto the other screen again, so that you guys can see what we're going on here. But yeah, and also that is absolutely awesome that you have a sheep. That's really cool. A friend of mine used to have a sheep as well, and I never knew how, but she used to be able to identify it because she would just walk up to the field, and she'd just shout the sheep's name, and it would come running over. Like, like, how do you know? Like, how can you tell one sheep from the other? But she would literally just walk into the field and shout Mabel, and Mabel the sheep would just come bounding over every time. I'm like, why does that one sheep respond and the rest of them are just like, well, I'm not Mabel. I didn't realize sheep were that intelligent. Maybe maybe I need to rethink sheep. Sheep are so fluffy and cute, but every time I hear them, I get triggered because of Reanimal. Oh no, Reanimal ruined sheep for us. Sheep make me a little bit nervous because one time I tried to pet one. Like I put my hand through the fence and it headbutted me. Turns out sheep have got really hard skulls and it like nearly fractured my hand. I was like, oh god, yeah, don't touch them. So I've never touched one since. I'm sure they're lovely, but that one didn't particularly like me. To be fair, I did reach into her pen. And I shouldn't have. What's up, Ghoul? How you doing? How do we feel about Altered Echoes? Loving it so far, Ghoul. Absolutely loving it so far. It looks excellent. We're actually coming through that trailer now. If you want to join us, I'm just sort of like, I'm stopping and starting. But I've only got like another hour before I have to call it a night anyway, because I've got some stuff to do and commitments I've promised to make. But I am absolutely prepared to look through this. Geminis, do we need to unite and get our Lord and Saviour VR headset for a little while? You don't have to do that. I'd appreciate it. It'd be awesome, but you definitely don't have to do that. But thank you, Mr. Tibbs. I massively appreciate the shout out, brother. Let's see what else we're working with. Also, we know we're getting gnomes in this, so we'll actually be able to go up and physically hug gnomes. We might also physically eat gnomes too, and we'll get that in high definition, real up close and personal, but either way. Right, okay, so this is an example of us getting snatched by Thin Man, if we think that's Thin Man. This area here could be the maw, although it could also be the front of the train. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and say this is the front of the train. Just because there's several dials here, it would make sense that this is the coal to be shoveled in for the steam engine. And also, this seems to be where she finds the music box. And the very next scene is her using said music box. Notice this. Sorry it's dark, but she's turning it. Like, so we as the character, as the player, are actively turning the music box, and that is bringing the room into perspective. So notice with each crank, the room becomes more and more visible, right? There's that symbol again that we talked about earlier, but she's turning the music box. Yeah. So she finds the music box at the front of the train, and then she turns that like that. So it's all linked in. She finds it on the train, turns that. It brings the train area to life. And then we see this here. This could be like a memory of the train. But again, how did she manifest the train? You know, is this her memory or is it someone else's memory? And why does the train carry the same symbol right here as the actual train that she ends up on, as is evident right here? This symbol is the same one as this one. So these things are obviously linked, and I know that's really obvious. Like, you know, that's like, oh my god, what a revelation, Gem. You're such a theorist, right? But my point is, where does it come from? Like, how does this stuff become a part of the nowhere? You know, it's something that I find myself constantly pondering on is that the developers said that the children of the nowhere are what's known as unreliable narrators. Okay, so when they're telling stories, they can't be trusted to be 100% accurate. It's which is obvious, like that's true. It's the same reason why people, you need more evidence than just a first person account of, I witnessed a crime. And it's like, okay, tell us all about it. And you were like, well, this guy was about 7 feet tall and he was wearing a bright red shirt. It turns out he wasn't. He was actually like, 6'3", and his shirt was brown. But you misremember slight details. But you create an image of this traumatic experience in your head, and you blow the guy up. All of a sudden, he's enormous and hugely dangerous and very standout. So could it be that the nowhere is given form by corrupting more innocent memories, or blending innocent memories with traumatic ones? And is that why this train here is obviously a toy made for children that's supposed to be used in fun times, like happy fun time, but it carries the image of the train station where obviously something pretty bad must have happened for it to end up like this. And for whoever created this area, potentially even Six, to associate the train with trauma, with some kind of problem that's occurred in her life. And why does it take the music box to manifest this area? Did it exist before that? We don't know, but we'll see. Let me just read a little. Never look at sheep the same way again. After Reanimal, no, I won't. Yeah, I'm in love with it too, Ghoul. It looks absolutely incredible. Here's the new chapters. I think I'll show up the train and the mansion. Yeah, now the mansion is another really interesting one, because I'm thinking, how does the photographer tie in to any of this? The train, we can kind of see some, some links. Because there was the train in the Pale City, there was the subway section that was removed from Little Nightmares 2. There's the guests from the mall that we see on this very train service, utilising it potentially to get to the boat that takes them to the mall. So there's ties there. But the mansion is like, it seems completely unrelated, unless it's potentially like an area of the nest that we didn't get a visit. Because Six spent time on the nest. And Dark Six, I don't know whether or not Dark Six was a thing by then. Apparently she wasn't, because she only came into it after Little Nightmares 2, which takes place after Very Little Nightmares. But there is a cameo appearance of Dark Six in Very Little Nightmares. Right at the end of Very Little Nightmares, if you go into the crevice by the wall just before we run down the cliff from the Pretender, and you turn the Jack in the Box, it's a Dark Six cameo. Make of it what you will. This area. This was the part that had me curious about the graphic fidelity. Only because the first thing I noticed was the fire. Look. So those fire graphics looked a little bit subpar to me. But maybe that's me just being really overly critical. But they, to me, look a little bit, like, I could get past it, don't get me wrong. I can absolutely get past it for Little Nightmares. And we don't even know if this is going to be the finished product or anything, but that was what had me, the kind of blocky effects of the fire, with everything else being so very detailed, and the world of the nowhere being so very intricate. That for something that stands out as much as a bright orange fireplace to not quite have, that carry the same weight, it made me curious and a little bit dubious about the level of immersion, and I worried that the graphic capabilities of a VR might steal away some of the atmosphere. I'm hoping not, because a VR experience is built to be atmospheric, right? It's supposed to be immersive. It's supposed to seal you in. And I'm sure it'll do a fine job of that, especially when I'm in the middle of this, in this room, trying to solve this puzzle. I think the last thing I'll be paying attention to is what the fireplace looks like. But just judging by that there, I was sort of like, is that perfect? Could they have done that a little bit better? Maybe. But either way. Yeah, absolute cinema. Like, I can't even do the boom. Gemini, in the scene with the family on the couch, you can see the janitor in the background. Agape Sorrow, I did not notice that, and I'm really glad you pointed it out, because we're going to come through that, and I haven't seen that before. So I'm definitely gonna be looking for that. What's up, Stinkles? Welcome back. Hey guys, I just got home. Wasn't able to join right away. No worries, Caleb. It's absolutely fine. I'm just really glad you can make it and join us. Do you have any thoughts on the Little Nightmares Altered Echoes VR? I have many. A great many. Trey might behave the same way as the Alone doll. They become real via imagination. Yeah, absolutely. In fact, I think Alone's presence in the nowhere and her disappearance after the game speaks volumes about how the nowhere works in general. Because if Alone existed within the nowhere and then ceased to exist when Law escaped, that indicates to me that everything Law took into the nowhere with him disappeared when he left. Which means if the environments were created by Law's subconscious, then they will vanish when he does, just like Alone did. Which could be why some of these areas are completely inaccessible, which is why 6 can only access them by triggering these memories with the music box. Like there might have to be some kind of link, some tie-in, some trigger stimuli to make these areas available. And that might be why we see the area coming into being. The train only seems to exist after she gets the music box and starts whirling it around. But yeah. Anyway, this was cool. This area here looks like a bathroom in the school because we had a bully. I'm going to try and pause it at the right space. No. There. So we got a bully hanging over here by his feet. We've got a broken slab, so it indicates that he has dropped down from the ceiling. I think we did actually see that in the other trailer as well. And then we break through these boards right here. But yeah, so we are still in the school. So it looks like we do get an expansion on the school outside of just the teacher. We get to see, like, you know, some bully interaction as well. I'm kind of hoping that, because we can see we get a weapon, right? Look. We're holding a sledgehammer. There is no way we're going to get a sledgehammer and not fight bullies with it. Dark 6 killing bullies. And we get to do it. I was kind of hoping that we'd do it with our hands. I don't know if that's sick. I don't know if I need help. But after I saw 6 just go full Doom guy on that one bully where, you know, you pick up the hammer and you like go up behind the bully and you don't even get to smash it because 6 already just jumps on top and tears his head off. It's like, okay, you got this, bro. You're good. I think it's awesome. I think it's absolutely awesome. So whether we're using our bare hands or whether we get to use some tools and weapons, I don't mind. But I do think some combat is going to be necessary in this game, and I am 100% here for it. Got to give so much credit to the brand new studio who's never touched Little Nightmares before taking on this game while making it look this good. Yeah, Ghoul, I couldn't agree more. Iconic have absolutely nailed this so far. Again, while I've been vocal about my trepidations regarding the overall visual quality of the game, I don't feel like it's lacking particularly badly in any areas. I think the only thing that unnerves me ever so slightly is the fact that, you know, the Little Nightmares universe and everything in it is so very intricately detailed. And with us being so up close and personal to this stuff, every single one of us, and you know what we're like, right? You guys know exactly what we're like. We're going to be intentionally looking like, I'm going to pick up every freaking newspaper. I'm going to pick up every item I find. And I'm going to turn it and I'm going to read it and I'm going to inspect every detail. And I'm going to hope that they are of the highest quality. Because if you're up that close to some of these assets, you would hope that they'd been refined and that the console we end up playing it on has the capacity to render those items in really, really high quality so that you can have them this close to your face. Because the original Little Nightmares games did a phenomenal job of that. even on the items that we don't even, we're not even supposed to get up close and personal with. You'll notice when we've done experiments where we took the camera out of bounds in the original Little Nightmares games, if you take the camera out of bounds and you just go wandering around the environment and you find stuff and you zoom all the way in on it, the stuff looks great. Even though you were never meant to see that food can right here, right? Or you were never meant to read that poster right up close. It was just meant to be a random background article that served to communicate the atmosphere of the nowhere. And they still went to the effort of rendering that in the highest possible detail. And I think a part of them might have expected us to do that. And I'm hoping that this studio has done the same thing and paid it the same level of respect by rendering all of this stuff in the highest quality. By the looks of things they have, because this looks absolutely dope. I'm nervous, but I always get nervous. I was nervous about Little Nightmares 3, right? I get nervous about all of this stuff because this is my bread and butter. I love this franchise with my heart and soul, as do all of you, which is why we're all here. Speaking of, let's continue. This room's interesting because I feel like I know this is like the signal tower, or at least that's the vibe I'm getting because purple. But also, there was a room taken out, or at least maybe an entire environmental aspect to the hospital, where the hospital itself was upside down, right? The hospital itself in some of the original concept art for Little Nightmares 2 was upside down. All the beds were on the ceiling. I know that they're stuck with the concept with the doctor moving along the ceilings. He's still up there, but everything else is traversed normally. I explored this concept modestly in my DLC series, and I tried to reuse that asset in my own way. And I tried to show you guys what I feel like that room would have gone like and how we would have been forced to navigate an area that's that complex, because the doorways wouldn't be doorways. It wouldn't be that simple. The doorways would be up on the ceiling, right? So you'd have to find a way to climb. So you'd have to find ways to navigate the environment. And it looks like that is what this area is doing by forcing us to utilize gravity. Like, we don't know if from this section right here, this looks like there's anti-gravity here. Okay, because we got stuff floating around, and obviously the way that carries through. There's also some area, like some other stuff looks to be stuck to the ceiling. I wonder what would happen if I was to flip this room upside down. I don't know. Really interesting. Really interesting. Sorry, let me just get back to chat really fast. Actually, I haven't seen the trailer yet, but a VR Little Nightmares game sounds revolutionary. A little bit of footage I've seen makes it... Yeah, absolutely, Caleb. I couldn't agree more. I knew this was coming, and I've been super excited about it, but I thought it was going to be a brief Little Nightmares experience, right? I thought it was going to be a quick 20 to 30 minute section of, you can explore this from Six's perspective or Mono's perspective in the signal tower or something like that. I thought this would be brief. This is looking like a whole ass game, right? This is looking like a full blown. This is going to take a long time to come through because we have several areas here. I don't know how long it'll take to play through, but the gameplay style itself appears that it is encouraging you to play slowly, to coast through and to really get involved with these areas and with the atmosphere, and try and really reinforce the puzzle solving aspect of Little Nightmares. There doesn't seem to be many sections where you're being chased and where you have to rush. So I'm hoping that it'll be a good long game to sit and play. Well, not sit, unless you're George. George's going to sit and play through. But when I get it, you better believe I'm going to be standing. Like, my sofa is going to move, my TV is going to be pressed up against the wall, and I'm going to be actively Robocopping around the room. I can't wait to get into this. I'm super rip and tear until it's done. Mochi knows how it be. Gemini, did you see my comment about the game taking place in the signal tower? Let me check, vibe check, man. Look, you can see the same black specks you can see in the tower at the end of the game too. Ooh, good catch. Good catch. That's actually valid, because this is something else that we don't really get to see very often, is the mechanisms inside the signal tower, right? We only got like a brief section of the signal tower. We didn't explore the whole thing. There's a lot of areas that remain unexplored that I'm hoping we're going to be able to course through in here. I'm hoping it really lets us know what the signal tower is and how it functions. I think because it was revealed to be its own entity, I feel like this game's going to help us wrap up a lot of, or at least give us a hint as to how the nowhere and the overseeing entities, like these eldritch horrors that seem to run the place, really function. I think they work. Personally, I think they work by stealing your subconscious and trapping it somewhere and just pulling bits out of it and using it to create the environments that you then have to course through. And if you can prove, if you can overcome them, then you escape, like Law did. But if you can't, you end up being swallowed by them and become consumed by them, much like 6 is implied to do. At least for the most part. Let's continue. Wait, actually, let me read a little bit more of this chat. Is that a butcher saw in front of us? Yes, yeah, right, yeah. That's unnerving as well, isn't it? But I think that's an asset from the hospital because we do see the doctor using that very saw to cut the limbs off his mannequins and stuff like that. Still an awful implication, but but yeah, that is definitely a bone saw. Or a wood saw. More like, I don't know. It looks like a butcher's saw. I don't actually know. I'm going by the wooden handle here that it's a butcher's saw. I don't know. I'm not going to talk like I know woodwork. Jem is going to examine literally every single one. Every speck of dust, every article of clothing, every tile on the wall, every sound made throughout, every shard of glass. I'm going to be combing through this like you wouldn't believe. Which is another reason why I don't think anyone's going to lend me their VR. Because I'll say, oh, let me borrow it for a couple of days so I can play the game. No. I am going to play the game every single day for about 10 hours over the course of about a month. They're not going to get it back. I will not return it. No, I absolutely will. But, yeah. Trust me, bro. Gemini's built like an iron golem. Feel like it at the moment. Been in the gym every friggin' day. Trying to get wedding ready. Because, like I said, I've got a wedding to go to next week. Where I'm going to be suited and booted. That's why I have a huge beard and messy hair and everything right now. But in a week, I'm going to be clean shaven. I'm going to have a haircut. And hopefully I'll be jacked. So I'll look good in my suit and everything like that. So, like, right now, I feel okay. I feel in reasonable shape for the moment. Good job on finishing the DLC series, by the way. I really enjoyed. Oh, thank you, Caleb. I really appreciate that. That last episode was a real doozy to work on because I ran into a couple of problems towards the end of it. It's been in the process of being made for a really long time, and unfortunately, I had to rush through certain parts of it because we sadly lost a member of the community recently. Somebody that was helping me with a lot of the visual assets is a Little Nightmares content creator called The Oldest Nightmare, who decided to leave the project and leave the Little Nightmares community as a whole. Well, not necessarily, you never really leave the community, but they decided to stop making content based on the fact that he wants to focus on his university, his education, his studies, his book. He's doing a lot of other things, and working on these projects, as you might imagine, takes a really, really long time, a lot of effort, and it doesn't pay very well. So, I completely and fully support his decision to do so, but it impacted my project because I was relying on him to make 3D modeling and level designs and concepts and everything for me. So the team would get together. So like just GKS would draw up a sketch, like a concept sketch of the room. And so I would pitch the idea, but I can't draw. So I'd pitch it to GKS. GKS would then draw me a sketch. I'd then send it to Oldest Nightmare because I can't 3D model. He'd 3D model me a area, and then I would write to my artist Propimal, and she would draw me the creature concept and the and the character concept if I needed one. And then I would edit all of those together and animate them and add the sound effects and all the rest of it. And we work as a team to put that together. And sadly, when the oldest nightmare wasn't able to do that for me anymore, I had to rely more on some like generative AI and other means to fill in the gaps, which I don't love. I don't really like doing that, but I also recognise that I'd been promising this project to you guys for the better part of a year, and I was getting impatient. Like, let alone the audience. Some people would message me every now and again, when's chapter 6 out? When are you doing chapter 6? How long until chapter 6? And it was already in motion. Like, I'd done the majority, but without the help of these far more talented individuals, I wasn't able to do it. And I did reach out to other 3D artists, but the money they wanted to do the work I needed was like far beyond what I could afford. Not far beyond what they deserve. They absolutely deserve to be paid very well for the work they do because it's exceedingly hard. If it wasn't exceedingly hard, I'd do it myself. But it's difficult and it takes a long time. So you need to be able to pay them. Oldest Nightmare was gracious enough to do a lot of the work for free. Like, didn't even charge me for it. Just wanted to be a part of the project and sharing something that we had a common love for, which was what made it possible for me to churn out the earlier episodes so readily. When it came to chapter 6 and he was more focused on his education and his career and his book and everything like that, I couldn't then say, I need you to do this and that and this and that really quickly, because that's not fair, right? He's doing something that he's trying to further his life and move forward with his actual existence outside of YouTube, and I'm holding him back, and I'm not even paying him to do it. So, for the large part. So I'm like, this doesn't feel right. So I unfortunately had to take some shortcuts, which was not particularly well received, and I completely understand that. And I'm sorry if I upset anybody with my use of generative AI in that concept and with that project overall. But I really wanted to see it finished because I really wanted to share that story with you guys and wrap up the project as a whole. It's a shame that I didn't get to end it quite as strongly as I wanted to. That wasn't the way I intended it to go out. But I'm really glad that you guys at least enjoyed the story and the concepts that we were able to create, because there was a lot of work that went into that. As you guys can see, like, if you guys have already seen it, you'll be able to see the parts. Everyone can recognize the parts that are AI and the parts that are not. And the parts that are not all have creators and developers and designers and artists behind them who are credited in the description, in the comment, and they even show up in the comments with their own channels as well. So I would thank you to be kind to them, because it wasn't their choice, and the decisions that were made are fully supported by myself as well. So a lot of love for those guys. Moving forwards with projects that are similar to that, I'm going to be working with a fellow content creator, KitKatKatsy. And I know there's a number of you guys that are artists in the community as well that would be ready to contribute to future projects. And I'd love to have some of you guys on board. So feel free to reach out to me if you would like your artwork to be featured in future videos and upcoming stuff. But for now, there's not a lot going on because I only have one project to work on, and I currently have an artist for that because Katsy's going to do all of the artwork for it as well, because she's going to be a collaborator featuring on that project too. Anyway, back to the focus. Yeah, Mochi, that's exactly right. Imagine running from the teacher and you run your face into the wall. That's absolutely possible, right? I am fully expecting to do that because I'll forget that I'm confined to the space. I know I will. I'll run into the desk. I'll run into the wall. I'm going to have to set up a perimeter of cushions to surround myself with, so that I know where I'm at, so I don't just bash my screen, or the teacher comes at me and I run in the opposite direction and crash into my shelf, or something like that. I'm absolutely liable to do that, 100%. There's more above my black specs comment you missed. I don't think she manifested it. I think it was the signal tower. I think the entire game takes place in the tower. I said that when you were talking about 6 manifesting the stuff in the tower, the black specks could be seen in the train, is what I meant. Also, you think that the train area actually takes place within the signal tower? You think that the train is manifested within the signal tower? That's interesting. I wonder how that would work if that's the case. it could stand to reason because we don't really know the game outside of this concept right now. But that's interesting to think of, and the fact that you've spotted the black specks does indicate that the signal tower at least has some sway over the train station in general, or the train section. It's be interesting. Gemini, would you rather stub your toe or stick your fingers or get stuck in a door hinge when someone closes it? Stub my toe, because my toes are rather well conditioned. I know that's a bizarre statement and a really odd brag, but I was a kickboxer for a really long time, so I've done a lot of kicking. We used to kick. We used to kick these heavy bags to condition our shins, and we used to kick each other's shins as a means to condition shins. So my shins are really tough. But over the course of years upon years upon years of being a kickboxer, I inevitably conditioned all of my feet. So I don't have a lot of feeling in my feet necessarily, especially my toes. I've broken my toes loads because it was the kickboxing, the gymnastics, the parkour, the breakdancing. Like, all of my toes are absolutely shattered. So I can stub my toe like quite easily. You know, I can just sort of like, I was going to kick my desk then as a as an example, but I thought you won't see it and it'll knock all of my stuff off, so I'm not going to do that. But yeah, I'd rather stub my toe. How to do things right, because I can't do anything right and I really want to do things right. I would say if you really want to do things right, keep doing them, because it's very rare that you get something right first time, and even then, if you get it right first time, the chance of you repeating that action is exceedingly rare without practice. If you really, really want to do something, just focus on it. Make it a primary objective. I really wanted to get good at video editing when I first started doing YouTube, and I was not. I was garbage. And the only way for me to get better was to continue to try. And I look back at some of my old work now, and it's embarrassing. But I leave it there because it's a good indicator of how far I've come off my own back. I was able to watch my old videos and then digest what I've done and be like, well, I could have done that better, and that wasn't very neat, and I slipped up here, or I have, you know, the technology's got better, I have a better camera, I have a better keyboard, I have a better processing system, and I just have more knowledge. It's not that you never do anything right, you just might not have committed to anything long enough to do it perfectly. Pick something, focus on it, and get dialed in. I believe in you. Yeah, exactly what Vibe Checkman said. Hypothetical question. If Monster 6 and the prototype from Poppy Playtime met, what would happen? Monster 6 would shred the prototype. Hot take. Debate me. Hey, see you soon, Alex. Thank you for joining us. I appreciate you. I'd love to feature something, but sadly I'm no artist. Neither am I. This is the thing. I'm not an artist, which is why I try to hire artists to do the work for me. I will draw. Like, I'll actively draw the character concepts, the monster concepts. I'll sketch the rooms and everything. I'll give you a quick example. If you've already seen the Chapter 6 of my DLC, you'll recognise this anyway, if I can actually find where I scribbled. Where's my scribble? Where's my art? Where is my artwork? There you go. That's my art. That's my picture of the seamstress. So I said, you know, this is a character concept that I want you to create. This is what I want it to look like, but obviously I can't put this in a video. So I sent this to Propimal and I said, make this look like a like an authentic Little Nightmares character, and I'll pay you to do so. And she did. And she did a brilliant job. This is a really, really simple sketch of the top of the nest where Chapter 6 opens up. And I said to the Oldest Nightmare, I want to create this area, but I can't take a picture of the nest and zoom in. I'm going to have to completely recreate this area, and I want it to look like this because, you know, 6 is going to run along here, and she's going to have to mess around with this table and blah, blah, blah. You know, whatever. But I'm not an artist. I'm not good at it. So I hired somebody that is. But again, art is something I could practice. Both of my parents are artists. I'm just not particularly good because it wasn't a primary focus of mine. let's... Oh, Gemini, I'm making art book. Should I post the first 10? Yes, again, sorry, you absolutely should. You should post the first 10 pages, maybe even just the first one page, and post a teaser, and then gauge what people think of it, because I'm sure people would love to see your artwork. I definitely would. I love looking through Little Nightmares artwork. I do it all the time. Oh! Oh no, there she is. Whoa! Get a load of that. Yeah, hands up in defence. Oh no. This is arguably the part I'm the most like. The weird thing is, I know that we've been presented with new environments and new enemies and new concepts, but this is the part I'm the most excited about, because I am thrilled to see the school return. I can't wait to coast through this place in real time and actually get a feel of what it's like to be this small in this environment. This right here is going to take me all the way back to my childhood trauma. And weirdly enough, I want it. I want that so badly, because this is exactly why I fell in love with the Little Nightmares franchise, because of the feeling that this scene is going to give me. Oh, I'm so excited. So excited. Ah, look at this. So this is obviously a puzzle that we're going to have to take into account, and it requires a few objects that we're going to find dotted around the room. But there's something else interesting about this particular scene. There. Look on the wall. On the wall right here, like, forgive this gluttonous hog right here, but you'll notice that on the wall there are some orders. So these are like already fulfilled or waiting orders. So I guess like this guy's got impatient waiting for his fish and cheese soup. But so he's reaching in and he's just like, you know what? Sorry, I'll eat the chef. But right here you can see more use of nowhere language, which is really cool. And you see some of that also in the wait for it. There. In the culinary dessert book. What have we got in here? Fish, a turnip? Yeah, meat and cheese. What in the mother of F are you making here? Like, honestly, I know this is going to sound really weird, but that's basically my diet. Like, that's pretty much all I eat. I eat steak, fish, vegetables, and cheese. If it had an egg on there, that would pretty much be everything I eat. I see nothing wrong with this. I see nothing wrong with this. I will eat whatever she makes. I'm game. And maybe pop the eyes out of the fish. Bone it a little. Oh, wait. Also, was that a crank that I just spotted on the way there? Sorry, just going to coast back a little. Oh, no, it's a salt cellar. I thought this little crank was part of the music box. I didn't know if the music box was we're going to have to carry around with us. But it's not. It's one of those, like a salt dispenser. Does indeed. Teacher jump scares. What inspired you to post that metaphor with the ship and the anchor? Oh yeah, it was basically it was something that I have a tendency to pace. I pace around a lot. I just walk for hours on end. I pace when alone with my thoughts. Because sometimes I get like massive anxiety attacks and they don't let me go outside. And when I feel under pressure, particularly from society and things like that, I try and distance myself from social media and get away from everything, because of being who I am and having the kind of aptitude that I have and the personality I have, I try to be there for a lot of people. I try to do a lot of things for a lot of people. And I try to make myself as positively, emotionally available as I possibly can. And that can be really, really overwhelming, because depressed people are depressing to talk to. And that's not a dig, that's not being rude. I've had the same thing before. It's a discussion I've had with many a therapist. But I talk to a lot of people who have a lot of problems. They tend to share their problems with me because I have a logical mind and I can offer them a analytical solution. I can not only be the sympathetic ear where I'll listen and I'll actively care about their problems, but then I'll seek to help those people as well. But the problem with doing that for everyone all the time is exhausting, especially when some of those people don't necessarily recognize your value. You know, you're going out of your way to help them overcome a trauma that they're going through, something negative in their life, and you put down all of your own issues to help this person. And some of them don't care. Like, some of them just simply don't care. Some of them will throw it back in your face, and some of them come to expect it of you. And it's just exhausting. And I found myself thinking about, a metaphorical way to describe that without targeting anyone or making anyone feel bad, because that's not the case. I was trying to say, this is how I feel. I'm not blaming you. I don't want you to think that I'm targeting you and I think you're a piece of shit because you don't value me or anything like that. I'm just trying to say, I recognize that you have 101 problems, but so do I. I'm tired, I'm exhausted, I need some time to step away, and I shouldn't have to feel guilty about that. The fact that I didn't pick up the phone doesn't make me an asshole. The fact that I needed time to grieve something awful that happened to me. Now, I'm really sorry I didn't help you move house that day, but my best friend got stabbed. You see, so sorry I didn't feel up to having a chat. That kind of thing where it's like, and I'm going off on one again, so I apologise for that. But that was that, and I ended up coming up with a couple of different metaphors in my head, some of which I intend to share. So the anchor was one such video where it was just sort of a trial to see who picks up what I'm putting down, and what you guys think of it. But I wouldn't want you to read too much into it and think there's some underlying, like, oh my god, Jem's going to do something awful. I'm not. It's just a way to creatively vent some of my innermost thoughts. I'm actually writing a couple more of them. That one was called The Anchor, and there's two more that I'm writing. One of them is called The Fireplace, and the other is called The Mirror. And I think you guys will enjoy them, but they're going to have to wait until after a lot of other things. Obviously, I've got this wedding coming up and a bunch of other things that need my attention, so that's why YouTube's taken such a backseat recently. Anyway, moving forwards. These guys, I think, are being filtered onto a train, because I think this is still the train station area, just by the colour, right? The colour and the vibe, everyone's shuffling, and that also looks like a train. Sorry, go back. There. This looks like, this looks like a train door. So I don't know if it's just a case of, everyone pause, let the passengers get off the train first, and then, you go in. They might be waiting in the subway. I don't know what these guys are. I wouldn't know how to identify them or what to call them. I suppose I'd call them the passengers. But maybe they're boarding a different train. These guys obviously aren't going to the mall. And if they are, it's before they got heavy. Right. The janitor. Is that him? Is that him right there? That might be him. Because this is the Hunter's family, which is another thing that I'm interested to see. Because somebody actually posited this, it might have been just Jord, posited that these guys that we see move. Maybe they move, but the reason we don't, because they're made up of the parts, the imbued parts of the mannequins that the doctor was using, right? I'll tell you what. Give me just 1 second. Give me just 1 second. I'm just going to run to the bathroom and then I'll come back and I'll expand on this. And then I've just realised the time and I'm going to have to cut this one short. So I'm just going to run to the bathroom. I'm going to blindly blitz through this last 15 minutes or so because there's some things that I really want you guys to notice before I call it a night. So just give me 1 minute. I will be right back. Give me... Where are we? Where's my advert? Okay, give me just a second. There you go. Right, sorry about that, guys. Real quick bathroom break. Yeah, no, the stream didn't end via Checkman. I was just disappearing for a moment because I really needed the bathroom and I want to comb through this super fast. So, let's look at this really quick. So, a couple of things that I noticed. This section is awesome because obviously we've got our first look at this guy. Look at his rubbery neck. Look at that. Look at how twisted and bendy he is. Somebody said in my last stream, or in my last video, that he looks kind of like a snail, right? He's got kind of like a snail's appearance, and he does that, especially in the images that I saw of the box art that I'll show you at the end of the video. But yeah, so we got this chap who looks like he's got a bit of doctor in him because off he goes up the wall. Then we're into the mechanisms right here. Thin Man hands looks like, yeah, using these. So again, reused asset right here. Not reused asset, a reused concept from the Little Nightmares 2 art book, it seems. This look. Do you see? Do you see what I see? Do you spy what I spy? There are images on the walls in this particular section that I feel like merit some attention, because there's that girl there in a very pretender looking dress, right? Very wide, very frilly, very elegant. I think that's really cool. And I don't know if this is like a reference to the Pretender. It doesn't look like the Pretender, but it very much like resembles her. But this is obviously in whoever the photographer's layer is. So this photographer character is. Oh, I'm really sorry that you can't see Sasha. It's. There's no way for me to zoom in either, I don't think. It's like really annoying because obviously the stream will compress it as well. But there is a picture of a little girl on the wall here in a very pretender looking dress, and we can see that there are images stacked on these walls. So this is likely a photograph of a captured child. So this dude is the ultimate creeper, right? I think that the photographer might be the absolute worst enemy we've ever come across so far, because just from this image alone, it looks like, and forgive me because this is creepy as all hell, it looks like he captures the children in the cages, he brings them to his house, and he traps them inside it, and then he takes pictures of them. It's fucking weird. I really don't like this dude. I really don't like the concept of this. I mean, I do. I love the concept. I think it's an awesome monster because it does what a monster's supposed to do, right? It's supposed to give you bad vibes. But these vibes are so bad. So bad. As we go further down, there are more images. Six's hand is in the way of that one. Ooh, we got... So that looks like the photographer's hand reaching through there. Actually looks like Thin Man's hand, but I believe it to be the photographer's. There, look. Up here as well. We can see another one there. That looks a little bit like Spoon Girl, with a distorted face. Like with a twisted, distorted face. But that is giving me very Spoon Girl, Nosebleed Girl vibes. It could be any of them though. This could be one of the kids from the Lonely Ones book. It could be one of the kids. It could be Noon. You know, it could be any number of children. Which was another reason why I suspected that this might be a part of the nest for some reason when I was first looking at it, because not only the yellow walls and the mansion-esque sort of layout, but also. The Pretender has hundreds of photographs of children that she's befriended, right? She has hundreds of photographs of them all on the wall. She has like thousands and thousands of pictures of all of these captured kids on the walls in her mansion. Yeah. So I wondered if this might tie into that in some way. I don't know though. There we go, and then we're out of that section. Let's maybe add a lady got her pictures. Yeah, absolutely, it could be. Because the lady has a bunch of pictures as well. Although hers are a little bit different. Daily life of a YouTuber. Yep, Counter Curse, you are exactly right. Dead on. Dead on. Ooh, that looked nasty. I like how it, like, you know, bounce, it hits the ground and then bounces back up. But there is a very, very important thing. I'm pointing at that screen. This is the camera now. Look at this. I really hope that you guys can see it, because this is probably the last major point I wanted to make about this trailer. So you guys will notice this area down here as a picture of the signal tower, but there's another drawing in this image that you guys can't see right now, and you won't until I start moving forwards. But look what I found. And you guys should go and look at this reveal trailer so that you can like zoom in and put it in much higher fidelity. I think I've got it at max. Yeah, so I've got this at 4K at the moment, but obviously you guys are watching it through medium, so it'll compress the image and you guys won't get to see it very much. But look behind Six's hand right here. Look. Ah, nope, too far. Look. It's Six eating the gnome. I think. It looks like Six. It looks like a drawing, a sketch on this bathroom stall of Six eating a gnome. Can you guys see that? I don't know how clear that's going to be on any of your screens, particularly those of you that are watching on a phone or a mobile device of any kind. It's going to be really, really small and really difficult to see, and I'm really sorry if you guys can't see that. Let me just check super fast if I've got a screenshot, because I could have sworn I took a screenshot. There. No, it doesn't do it justice, but there. You can see this is quite evidently Six, and this is quite evidently a gnome, and Six seems to be doing something here, right? So, yeah, I hope that you guys can see that a little bit better. I'm sorry that the compression's probably killing that for you, but yeah, I noticed that, and I thought it was dope, and I'm like, that is cool. I really like it, but this is interesting, right? That's something worthy of note. Yeah, and then, oh, sorry, and we do get a real quick, brief look at the conductor. He's given us a good old chase across the top of this. We get some more signs that we might be able to use to decipher language with. We're out on top of the train, and we can see that he's chasing us. And again, look at his rubbery neck as he moves along. He's got kind of like a stretchy, rubbery neck. Tickets, please. Yeah. Awesomeness. Yep. There we go. This as well. So this creepy old photographer dude, he comes out of there. Notice the flash on his camera is a spiral. So that's probably noteworthy as well. I was also trying to get a good look at these images, you know, what else is in the room, but it's not really on screen for long enough, and I'd probably have to mess with the brightness and the other settings to really see what these images are of, but it looks like I'm going to have to wait until the game's full release before I get a chance to actually see this right here. Oh, then we fall through the signal tower, as you guys have seen, I'm sure. The only other thing that I was going to note was that it looked a little bit like there was like a vortex being sucked up into this mechanism, which is very similar to the kind of ethereal mist that we saw when Dark Six is cranking the music box and it brings the train to life. You know, you get to see the train come to light in the earlier scene around this section here. There. And then just really quick, we'll have a quick look at the cover art, which is right there. So in this cover art, I'm sure you guys will have come through this like hell by now already, but we've got the photographer villain right here, overlooking a desk of some description. We got the lanterns from the mall which served as checkpoints. The music box, traps. We got cameras, and we got a train, and there's the conductor looking all snail-like and weird right there as well. And then Dark 6, and I think there is a TV. There's a TV down there too. But yeah, anyway, let me bring you guys center screen, because that is all the time I've got today. Unfortunately, I am well out of time, and I have promises that I've kept, promises that I intend to keep. Caleb, I would be enthused to listen to your theory. We will be doing more, right? Yes, Rexo. Yes, Rexo. Like the lady's powers. So, I'm sorry to have rushed through the last little bit, but there is a whole bunch of other stuff here, and I'm really, really enthused to look at this. I actually think that he takes a picture of you and traps you in the photo. Notice how 6 seems to die and she gets her photos. Yeah, absolutely. That definitely seems to be the case, especially the way she reacts to it. And given the spiral featuring so prominently in the flash of his camera, I'm thinking, well, that's interesting, especially considering this is a spiral too, isn't it? Like, even just the motion of that scene has the whole thing spiral inwards, insinuating that you would become trapped. But yeah, a whole lot to cover, a whole lot to break down. I will absolutely be making a theory video on this, and there's a lot to look forward to. I'm going to be playing Little Nightmares. I'm going to be playing Reanimal in its entirety. I'm going to be releasing a theory video surrounding Reanimal. I'm going to be playing this game, hopefully, if I can get my hands on a VR, and playing it in its entirety, and there will be theory videos surrounding this, especially once I've played the game, because it's going to tie in a lot to the lore that we know and love, and I really feel like this is something that we as a community needed, especially on the run-up to Secrets of the Spiral, because I'm still very excited about Secrets of the Spiral coming out, but I'm arguably more excited about this, because this revisits the world that we know and love, and it expands on a character that I never thought we'd get to see more on. Dark 6 being the featured character in this is very, very powerful, and a massive selling point to me. That is all they needed. They didn't need to give us anything new. I would have wanted this regardless. So, I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in and sticking with me. I know that it's been a while, and I am going to try to keep up with things a little bit better as I start checking off some of these bigger real-world problems that I've got. So, you know, once I've got the wedding out of the way and these big work projects that I've got to finish up and everything, I am going to be getting a lot more into YouTube. I'm going to be shaved so you guys won't have to deal with fiery, homeless beard Gemini. But yeah, and I really appreciate each and every one of you. So thank you all so much for joining me for this live stream. It's great to see all of your familiar faces. Thank you, Alison, for your generous donations earlier on. They're very much appreciated as well. And I am going to call it a night. But this has been fantastic. Thank you, guys. Please feel free to share your thoughts, theories, observations, and speculations in the comments below this video if you're catching it later on. And if you haven't subscribed, please do so. Because you won't want to miss what I've got coming up. But until next time, little ones, that's game over. Bye.